Alright, welcome everyone for another Neon Genesis Evangelion review. We're on the penultimate episode number 25, and there's a lot to be unpacking here. If you enjoy people going through mental anguish and looking at how they see themselves through their own subconscious, woohoo, I got the episode for you right here. This episode, along with the last episode, are pretty much will tell you if you enjoyed the whole experience or if you didn't. Straight and easy. This episode is a psychologist's wet dream, and this is definitely something I really wish Sigmund Freud was around to see. So with that, okay, episode starts with the right after 24 with the events of the 17th angel being killed, i.e. Kwaru, by Shinji. We also get a repeat of the ending scene of the last episode where Masato is talking to Shinji. The only difference being is a lot of it takes place in Shinji's mind. So a lot of it is his own self-doubt, him discussing why he did it and kind of trying to convince himself that he did the right thing, much like in the actual conversation with him and Masato, where he was asking himself, where he was saying, well, I'm the one who should have died, not Kwaru. So once we get through that, we get into the heavy part of the episode where we actually do get the psychological trauma. We get Shinji in his own mind thinking about all the things, like why did he kill Kwaru? Why is he piloting the angel? What's it about? And in this part, you can tell he's in his own mind because he's literally talking to himself. There is nothing else. It's him and a lot of cutaways to to Japanese lettering, and us getting the subtitles stating what the lettering is stating. Most of the time it's repeating itself. Why did you kill him? Why did you kill him? Meanwhile, every time the word comes up, he'll say, why? I had to do it. I had to do it. Why do you pilot the Eva? Oh, I do it because of this. I do it because of that. Eventually we get to the part where he goes, well, I pilot the angel because if I don't, I have to because this is the only thing that people see in me. From there we get Asuka coming into his subconscious and saying, well, you pilot the angel because you want people to feel sorry for you. And right when she says that, all of a sudden the appearance of Rei comes into the picture and say, well, that's why you pilot the angel, the Eva, as well. So she has it turned back around to herself. And this is something that's not going to be seen a lot in this episode, but there is a shot of Eva Unit 2 along with Asuka in it in water. There's no contents for the scene in the series. If you do go on to see the Death and Rebirth and the end of Evangelion, we kind of know where she at and why she's there. But as far as the series goes, there's no content. And basically what's happening here is she's thinking, oh, why am I in this Eva again? Now we move on to her little scatter shot of what's going on, and it basically says, she basically says she has to do it because it's what gives her something. It's what gives her meaning in her life as well. It's just a small scene, not a big one. But right from there we go to the next one, which is Rei's. Rei's is a little bit more difficult because it's not about other people really. It's about her coming to grips with the two previous versions of her. and talking about how, like, well, she doesn't care if what's gonna happen happens because she wants to go away. She's happy to go away. And it kind of ends up with her saying the only reason she's here is because of him. And she does that all the while looking at a pair of glasses, who we all know is Gendo's. Or Gendo's as in, we've seen it in a couple other episodes before. Now this section of the episode ends with Gendo coming into a room with Rei and saying, you know, it's time for what you were created for. And once again, just like in episode 24, the Japanese title and the American title go back to back. So the first half, the Japanese title for this episode is called The World Ending. Oh, real quick before we get to the American title, this the right before it ends, it does say that, you know, instrumentality has begun. So the Human Instrumentality Project is starting, and from this section to the next episode, more or less, we're seeing what the meaning of instrumentality is. So, but the second half of this episode is called Do You Love Me? Okay. This episode is kind of hard to describe because it is basically Shinji looking at how he feels and also looking at how other people see him and how they see them. It's kind of breaking the fourth wall, but to a character who's in the show. It's kind of difficult to understand, but we get some text basically stating that human instrumentality has started. We also get a couple of, once again, scenes of the real world with no contents to them. We see Ritsuko Akagi lying face first in the LCL pool that Adam was in, or Lilith actually, face first with a bullet in her back. We also see a scene of Masato lying against the wall, blood on the wall, she's dead. And then I guess we get a flashback of a conversation between Ritsuko and Masato, where Ritsuko is explaining what human instrumentality is, and it's basically the bringing together of all people as one, so that we can get rid of the loneliness that we have in our hearts and the pain that we cause from being separated. And then we go through the case studies, and the first one is Shinji's case study of Masato. Once again, this is Masato as how she sees Shinji, and Shinji has how she sees Masato, but with Shinji standing on the outside as well, watching what he thinks and what she thinks of him. Very confusing, but we get a lot of backstory of Masato and what her psyche is, as she, you know, she wants to be proud, she wants, this is all has, all of this, all three of the people who we see right now are going to be, basically, they want recognition. And it all started when they were super young, and all of them have more or less felt like they've been abandoned by their parents. Masato's no exception, and she also explains why she got into the type of relationship she did with Kaji, and basically how that how she believes Kaji perceives her and how she believes other people perceive her, as well as why she was really doing it. It's basically conversations within yourself trying to explain why you do it, why you do what you do. And all the while she's going through this, Shinji is seeing what she's doing and why it's happening. So it's kind of like she's bearing her soul, trying to figure it out, but at the same time having someone else see it. So it becomes kind of more embarrassing as it gets through. And then we go to Asuka. Asuka's story, once again, this is a person who doesn't like to admit defeat, likes to brag about superiority, and we see why she did it. Her mom went insane after the second impact, and basically no longer acknowledged Asuka as her daughter, but it acknowledged this doll, this creepy little doll with red hair. And then she also shifted the blame from herself to her father, who we never see in the series. So Asuka has like this troubled past with her mom, her dad. She felt like no one wanted her, and i.e. why she always has this cold exterior and she just doesn't care about anyone else. You know, as long as they praise her, that's it. She doesn't want to be close to someone. Once that happens, we get to the end of the episode, which is basically human instrumentality is happening. Everyone's being merged into one. And we get a scene where, once again, Shinji is looking at his own psyche, but at the same time, he's doing it while a performance is really happening. Shinji's sitting, or his psyche is sitting in the middle of a stage, while all the other characters and how he thinks they perceive him in his mind, speaking to him and letting him know, well, this is what you wanted. Because Shinji is the key for human instrumentality. And basically everyone's saying, you know, this is your choice, this is what you want. And Shinji kind of fighting and saying, no, this isn't my choice, this isn't what I want. Or he can backpedal and say, well, I don't want this. It's very hyper look at someone's mental stability, especially with the fact that it's being done in the framework of a stage. And when I mean stage, is everything. There's lights, there's seats, there's spotlights, everything. Literally, he is on a plane, and then if you look outward, there's where the audience would sit. And while he has trouble coming to grips with A, this is his choice now to make, and B, you know, understanding how other people see him and understanding how he sees himself and other people, he realizes that instrumentality is his choice. So that's the end of this episode. The only real difference I noticed between the director's cut and the regular episode is that when the words flash up when people are talking and someone's talking back to them without verbally, the letters are more stylized. Instead of just having like a plain black background with English lettering, the director's cut has the Japanese lettering very stylized, and then underneath it the subtitles for whatever it's saying. This is a very heady episode, and this one and the next episode are more or less kind of the same, so a lot of people base their dislike on the series on these two episodes. I actually like this one, especially when you get to see more and more clearly some of the things that happened to these people when they were young, and how it affected how they live and how they react with other people. Like I said, this is a very good thing. If you're a psych fan, if you're into psychology, this is very much, you know, good material for you guys. But that's just me. I love this when I used to take psych in college. So one more episode to go. The beast that shouted, "I am the heart of the world." Can't wait to see it. Talk about it later.